Hello friends, welcome back. I'm Beth, here to help you fulfill your potential in meditation. As most of you know, I don't have just one method that I teach to everybody, like one size fits all. Instead, I much prefer to teach people one-on-one. And the reason is that you're all different. So please use these videos as a guideline. And if there's anything that isn't quite working for you or anything that doesn't quite fit, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you individually. Today's video is about a question that I get asked all the time when I'm teaching, and it's also a question that I hear a lot of misinformation about these days, especially in the West. And the question is, what is jhana? Now I want to make a video for you today that will clarify a few things. I hope that maybe if you're confused whether you've attained a jhana or not, this video can help. And there's a lot that I want to say. But up front, what I want to say is jhana is characterized by an unbroken awareness on our meditation object. Jhana is an unbroken awareness on our meditation object. But having said that, it doesn't work with any object. It needs to be a meditation object that is subtle enough and refined enough to carry us into those powerful jhana states. And in particular, it needs to be a meditation object that is detached from the five senses. So this is a meditation object that we know without using our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, or body. It's an object that we know directly with the mind. And we call this mental object our nimitta. Now nimittas come in different forms, different shapes and sizes, and I've made a separate video on nimittas. You can take a look at that one if you're confused as to what a nimitta is. But for now, just to say that jhana is characterized by an unbroken awareness on our nimitta. Now when we have that unbroken awareness on the nimitta, certain things will happen. Usually it's characterized by a lot of bliss, a lot of power. Often the mind is bright and luminous. But the confusing thing is that that power, that bliss, that light, that luminosity, that can also happen in other stages of meditation as well. Those things alone don't mean that it's a jhana. So how do we know whether it's a jhana or not? Well, to answer this question, I'm going to give a little bit of a technical explanation, a bit of an Abhidharma explanation. If the technicalities aren't your thing or you don't have a lot of love for the Abhidharma, then you can skip this bit, but I personally think it's a great clarifier. So to understand what is jhana, it helps if we first understand that the mind is made up of very many moments arising and passing away one after the other. And each moment knows an object. So a moment of consciousness arises, it knows an object, and then it passes away and the next moment arises. And this is happening so fast. It could be hundreds of moments within a second or thousands of moments within a second, which gives the perception that our mind is one continuous stream when in fact it's discrete moments. Now in order to know an object, just one moment isn't enough. Usually we need a bunch of moments, a chain of moments in order to know an object. And this chain of moments could be 8, 10, 14, 17 moments long. And we call this chain of moments a mental process. So a mental process is a chain of moments that together know an object, and each moment in the mental process does a slightly different function in the knowing of the object. So when we know our nimitta, we have very many of these mental processes, and each mental process knows the nimitta, knows the nimitta, knows the nimitta. And in between these mental processes arises a type of resting consciousness that we call bhavanga. Now bhavanga is a Pali word, and it's the type of consciousness that arises when we're in dreamless sleep, when we pass out, in moments when we feel like we don't know anything. And it's also the type of consciousness that arises between mental processes as a resting consciousness. And so we have a mental process that knows the nimitta, a few moments of bhavanga, another mental process knows the nimitta, a few moments of bhavanga, and so on. And that is the type of mind moments that are arising in deep access concentration. Now when it becomes a jhana, what changes is that we no longer have these moments of bhavanga consciousness, And instead, we get just one long, unbroken stream of moments that all know our nimitta. Now, that's the technical explanation, but what does it mean for you as the meditator trying to understand whether what you were in was a jhana or not? When we're in deep vipassana practice, it's possible to look at these mind moments and discern, was it separate mental processes, was it one long mental process? But when we're starting out, what it will mean is that when we enter the jhana, the change into the jhana might be to us imperceptible. But at the end of the meditation, when we come out of the jhana, when we look back on the experience that's just passed, we'll notice that, wow, I don't remember knowing a single thing other than my nimitta for the duration of that meditation. So let's say for the past hour, we don't remember hearing a single sound, we didn't feel anything with the body, we didn't know the time, not a single thought arose. All we knew was our nimitta. And because of the unbroken nature of that mental process, we might have the feeling like it's the first time we've ever experienced really being truly, fully awake. Our experience is no longer intermixed with this bhavanga consciousness, this resting consciousness. So we'll have a feeling of being hyper alert, super awake, very aware. And also on reflection, we will realize that we didn't know anything other than the nimitta. Now, it's really important that when we are trying to develop the jhana that we're not all the time investigating, am I in the jhana yet, am I not? Because that investigation itself keeps us out of the jhana. So any evaluation, we should leave it until the end of the meditation. Now, as I said, when we are in the jhana, certain things are likely to happen as byproducts. The first one is we're likely to have the mind filled with the perception of light, with luminosity. Now, there are lots of different types of light that can arise in meditation, and I've made a separate video on that. But for now, just to say that light can arise at many different stages of meditation, including jhana. So it's important when we're trying to develop the jhanas that we don't get distracted by any light that's arising. We want to keep our attention solely on the nimitta. Now, the other thing that happens when we are in the jhana is certain qualities of mind become predominant. And most notably, the 5 jhana factors become predominant. Now again, I've made a separate video on the 5 jhana factors, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about them now. But now what I want to say is also the 5 jhana factors can arise in many other stages of meditation that aren't jhana. So the presence of the jhana factors themselves don't necessarily mean that it's a jhana. The jhana factors are doing the main work of keeping our mind with the nimitta. When it is a jhana, what we'll notice is that the jhana factors become very refined, very stable. And again, we'll notice that at the end of the meditation, not during the meditation. We don't want to be investigating the jhana factors during the meditation, or that investigation will take us out of the jhana. It's also really important, as our concentration is deepening, that we don't shift our attention to the jhana factors themselves. If we do that, then we're not going to be able to develop the jhana. Let's say, for example, that we bring our attention to joy being one of the jhana factors. Then what's going to happen is, as we keep our attention on that joy, we're going to notice that the joy is changing. The feeling of the joy in the body is changing. And because of the changing, unstable nature of that joy, we can't develop the same power and strength of mind that we do in the jhana. Also, when we bring the attention to that joy, we're likely to get a very big, very pleasant experience of the joy in the body, because we are in effect zooming in on the joy. But that big, explosive feeling of joy isn't what we're going for in the jhana. As I said, in the jhana factors become subtle and refined, and although they are there, they are not our object of focus whilst we are absorbed in the jhana. Okay, so that's what I have to say today on what is jhana. Again, a quick reminder that jhana is characterized by an unbroken awareness on our nimitta being a mental object. The jhana factors will be there in the background. There might be light as a byproduct, but neither of those things need to be our object of focus. Now, this is a topic on which a lot of people are confused, and if you do find yourself confused, then please don't hesitate to be in touch with me. I'll be more than happy to discuss any confusions or questions that you have with you individually. So now is the time, if you want to develop the jhana, to get off of your screens. You can't develop jhana by watching YouTube videos, so get off of your screens, get onto the meditation cushion and start doing some practice. If anything isn't working for you, then please let me know. As most of you know, I do all of my work on a donation basis, so I encourage you to support me either through Patreon or through my website so that I can continue to make these videos for you. Thank you so much for your support. Wishing you the best with your meditation.